you. That's great. And you know what's interesting about this? I often say when I'm in programs, I'll ask people about a business plan. Do you have a business plan? I already know the answer. Because I can look around the room and I usually pick out the people that already have a business plan for their business. And so when I ask that, they'll raise their hand. And when I was preparing this, I didn't really know you individually, your kind of businesses, or who you are. But after yesterday, I got the sense that a lot of you are very dialed into these things. So we're going to do this as an exercise because it's part of your development of a new outlook toward your selling environment. We're going to start on your industry, but let me explain what we're going to be looking at. The S in SWOT stands for strengths. Things you do well, what distinguishes you from competitors, what makes you tick, what's unique about you, and what do your competitors see as strengths. And then weaknesses. Where can you improve? How are you viewed in the market? What problems and complaints do you hear the most from customers? What are the current obstacles that you face? Opportunities. What makes motivating customers? Can you improve customer service and outreach? Market trends that could be an advantage? SBDs and small business startups. We're going to talk about that. If we haven't started digging into those, I hope that I'm opening up a whole new avenue for you for prospects and building your business. And opportunities and weaknesses of your competitors. Threats, what are your competitors doing? External threats, changes in the market, and staffing. So what we're going to do, and this is an interactive thing, is talk about your industry first. We get all done with that and see if we come to any conclusions. And then we're going to let you do it for your own personal analysis. And if you're brave enough, I'm going to ask you to share something off of your own analysis. So, somebody is supposed to be my scribe. Where is my scribe? Oh, she voted herself out.
Yes, she did.
Okay. She said, there's nothing wrong with Elisa's handwriting. I said, okay, good. And that'll work. So,
Yeah.
let's just kick this around. What do you see as strengths in your industry? What are things that you can say are the real strengths of my industry that I'm in?
Distribution.
Distribution?
Community oriented.
Community-oriented or local?
Readership. Oh. Community.
Community/local. Leadership, somebody said?
Leadership.
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 I know, I'm still stuck on this morning, okay? By the way, stand up. This is the biggest troublemaker in the room. He gets the Big Troublemaker Award.
Yeah, but I was going to say, if you need anybody's attention, do it, Joey. No, don't.
Is it time to start?
I thought that was a real whistle. I didn't know that was you.
No, it's John.
I sat at dinner with him the other night, and I had the most fascinating conversation. What a story. If anybody here that's new hasn't met him and learned his story, you need to spend some time with him. It's a really good story. Okay, so we have distribution, community/local, readership, not leadership,
Come on, there's
readership,
something that you guys aren't hitting on.
Goodwill.
goodwill.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, an interesting one. We carry the history of our community.
You carry your community's history.
History.
Business relationships.
And we're going to talk about that. That is a very powerful strength in your industry.
Cross-pollinator of ideas.
We'll see if Elisa's keeping up here.
Cross-pollinator?
Cross-pollinator.
I like that.
You know, if you could put an S up here and circle it so we know what we're talking about.
Trusted source. That's what it is.
What was that?
Trusted source.
Trusted source. changed.
He said to me, bring along tape, and I
Yeah,
said, you're.
the last time I did this, we were tacking these things to the wall and taping them up, and she said, oh, they don't do that anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, we're gonna put it up on the wall.
How about
So
free?
how about
Free.
the fact, free?
Free.
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 I don't know a simple word for this, but the fact that you don't last just 24 hours, is there longevity?
Shelf
Genetic?
life.
Shelf
Shelf
life.
life.
There you go.
There you go.
Pass along. Pass along.
Anybody else? Come on, some of you guys are award winners.
Come on.
You must have ideas.
Community leadership.
Community leadership.
Results.
Coverage.
Yeah.
Coverage. I'll share a story with you while she's catching up. I did a seminar for the landscaping industry in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I have this whole room full of landscapers, about this size crowd, and I had several topics, but one of them got into dealing with competition. You know, what are your strategies for dealing with competition? And I'm talking and talking and I'm asking questions and everybody's sitting there, nobody will say anything. What's going on here? I went back to my room later with all my surveys. Somebody very kindly wrote on there, I guess you didn't know we're all competitors. So I already read this room, I know you're not, so I know that, so I don't have to worry about that. But that is a mistake I will never make again.
Yeah.
Credibility.
Credibility.
Yeah.
I don't think you heard your.
That kind of goes along with trusted source, but. Okay, so we'll put a pass on that one and we'll switch gears here.
Okay.
Think about this for a minute while I stick this up on the wall. These are nice.
I
I'm gonna
know.
buy one and take it home.
They even
My
have
wife
them-
will love it. I'm gonna be
They
sticking this
even
up
have
all over
them
the wall.
in small versions now, like a tiny one.
Like Post-it notes.
Yeah. A tiny one.
What do you see are weaknesses?
A tiny one.
Small staff.
Small staff.
Staff at all. Any kind of staff, big or small, doesn't matter. Finding people.
Tiny people.
Finding.
We were talking about this yesterday, and I just throw this out, and I hope that you don't think I'm being foolish, and maybe some of you have already done this, and so I'm just telling you something you already knew. One of the things that's happened because of COVID, school teachers hate their jobs. They hate their jobs. They don't hate teaching, but they hate what they have to do to be teachers anymore. If you look at the skills that teachers have, they're phenomenal. And I would bet that a school teacher could become an incredible salesperson. They could become an incredible writer on the staff. That they could do just about anything that you need done. One of the challenges that I have in some clients is that they can't get management type people that will train the rest of their staff. And you know, I often struggled with this until the pandemic hit. And now my recommendation is try to find a school teacher that will come in and become, in this one case, it's a medical practice, become a practice manager. Let this person who knows nothing at all about the medical world, let them be a practice manager. Sometimes the solutions to some of these problems are the result of just doing some creative thinking. Okay, other weaknesses in your industry.
Training.
Expand on that. What do you mean?
Having the time as small enterprises to professionally train people that are out there dealing with the community.
That's where we come in. But while you still have to do the work, so you're repairing the track, you gotta ride on it.
Yeah.
False public perception. Print is dead. The public believes print is dead. That's false, but that word is out there.
Isn't that more of a threat, though?
Well, it's both, isn't it? I would
Well,
say-
if you're going to
because
find it's okay, we actually can put it in both places.
True.
I would say using technology to really expand our reach. For us, I can say that the print publication is our strength. However, what we're looking at is how different ways people receive news. So we take our same article and then we put it on, we share it on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's the same article that's in print and on the website, but then we put it on those sources.
Okay,
I
so-
guess I would say use technology in a way that really extends.
Well, it can be both.
It can be
Because the
both.
industry apparently is weak in that regard,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that.
Well, we don't quickly hit.
I think using technology to.
Like modernize.
The perception that the weekly is an older reader and lower.
Yeah, I was stunned at those statistics yesterday.
Me too.
And I'm going to share something with you as we get into this that is probably going to really ignite you, that fits right in
Say
with
about
that.
Older and lower income.
Lower income.
And your demographics are neither, apparently.
That's right.
And old media, we're considered old media. Not new, hot new.
I keep standing over here and I get everybody over here talking, but nobody over here is saying anything. You guys are the ones with all the awards on your table. What else do you see as some weaknesses?
Carl, we sometimes have the David against the Goliath. So you have the giant media companies that we find ourselves competed against. So we're often very small, standing against very large. Us,
Right. That could be perceived as a weakness, but I have somebody right in this room that already fits that perception. You're right. You're right. And if you're a salesperson, and you've got that in your head, that you're the pipsqueak going out there and there's these big media giants with their foot down on the market, and you're just trying to chip away and chip away. The reality is much different because of who you are and what you're able to do.
I think weakness is aging staff. It's hard to pull in younger generations. I think we just have, we have very seasoned staff, and it's difficult to bring in new, younger.
You know what?
I'm not aging, I'm
What
not
I
saying.
want to know is, you know how many industries I
I do
hear
too,
this in?
but if we don't bring in new blood, if there's not new blood to be bringing in.
You know, across the board.
Are actually an age demographic as strength on the papers because we have a lot of old people in Franklin County, which keeps our readership nice and alive.
Yes, but if you look, you weren't here yesterday for the audit numbers, and we actually have we have the younger readers too.
You actually are in the sweet spot demographically of people who are ready to spend and have lots of money to spend. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do what I'm doing anymore. I'm buying a newspaper because you guys are in a phenomenal position.
We're gonna put you on our
Our
side.
writers are young compared to me. They're younger, and they're the one. I know. That's what I'm thinking too. You know? I was young when I started coming to this. But the writers are the young ones. They're the ones out doing the interviews and talking to businesses and community organizations.
Age is just mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Just remember that.
I think I'm in junior high.
But across the board, and I've spoken to industries after industries, you name them, I've probably spoken to most of them. It is always one of the things that comes up. We can't get young people in our industry. And I just say, well, but where are they all going? What in the world are they doing?
We're all
Because
sitting here digitally, it'd be a younger crowd. If realistically, we have.
They're in their parents' basement.
okay, so,
I got weaknesses up there, but I don't know if there's any more.
all right, well, we've been
Where are the data?
lack of youth.
Aging staff.
Aging, there you go. It would take a writer to condense that, right? Just simplify it to 2 words.
I think it's definitely an issue though, because with the perception that print's a dying industry, the youth coming out of college and even out of school, I mean, they're using more modern technology.
Yeah, they are.
And so there is a perception to try to, like she was saying, about getting younger people on board to pass the knowledge of all the folks in here that have been doing it for a long time. It's hard to find that youth that is interested in taking this to the next level, you know?
But at the same time, you think about some of the places that you go to. Right up here, front desk. They're not old people working in there. You have to ask yourself, why are they here? You know, not for nothing, but I'll bet they could earn a lot more money if they were working for you. You know, you go into retail stores and you see young people working. Why? Why are they doing that when they could have a future, they could be earning more money and doing something, literally, believe me, is much more exciting than what they're doing. But they get into that mode that this is what they can do because that's all they can find to do and they don't really think about it. So we're actually going to talk about some of that a little later on, about how you collectively can approach that problem and start to fix it.
When I was a young buck working at a rental store, an old manager walked in who was covering for a sick salesperson, and he said, "We need a person like you selling for us." And that's what got me in, and that's all Don Lesser. And that's
Yeah.
how it got started there.
Yeah, don't be afraid to cannibalize a good employee. If you find somebody in a store and they're like, you go, wow, this is the person I need, talk to them. They're not married to that place unless their daddy owns it. Maybe even then, you don't have to worry about them leaving it.
So just to add to what you said, we go through, so we're privileged to have Morgan State, they have a journalism department, and what they're doing in journalism, they call it multimedia. So they are designed to, when they write, they have to be able to develop that into a social media asset, as well as video asset.
They're
So-
developing it with that in mind.
Yeah, and that's,
gonna
but
be
it's
used
no
in
longer
multiple
called
platforms.
journalism, right, it's called multimedia platform, because I had to do some research to bring them on board. So I mean, maybe that's an opportunity, maybe that's technology, so they come with that skill set when you hire a younger person.
And I
they come.
agree with that, and I don't want to challenge you because you're out there making a lot more money doing what you do than I do right now. And you're really smart. But I have to tell you this story. I presented this similar program. Actually, it was the one on getting extraordinary results from ordinary people to the PGA in South Florida. And when we got to the topic about how to hire people, we talked about, you know, what is it typically that you advertise for? Let's say that you want a starter for your golf course. And there's some golfers here, right? You know the typical kind of person that's a starter on a golf course. They're very friendly. They're there to make sure everybody has a good time. And so I said, what do you advertise for if you're looking for somebody like that? Well, somebody that's a starter at a golf course. I said, well, then you know what you get hired? A starter from another golf course. And you know what you get when they come to you? Just somebody that wants more money. And that's it. And every problem that they had in their last job, they dragged right along with them. So, when you're hiring people, and if you're looking for young people, look for the drive. As your speaker said this morning, look for the enthusiasm. Look for the character of that person. Don't worry about your business. You'll train them to do exactly what you want them to do if they are the kind of person that you get excited about. You'll train them. So you'll find the excellent people that have good organizational skills, that can follow your instructions, do what you ask them to do, and you'll find amazing results with it. So let's move on to opportunities. What do you see as opportunities? How can you improve customer service outreach? What resonates with your customers? Market trends that might be an advantage for you? I mean, if I was writing this list, the first thing I would say is your demographics. From what I saw yesterday, that is a huge opportunity for you. Huge. DEM
out to get quotes to, that it's at least on their mind, because there's, I mean, COVID, a lot of little publications didn't make it through, you know, and so the ones that are still here, you know, it's an opportunity that maybe with the customers that we wouldn't have had before, just sort of being the last man standing kind of thing, you know, or surviving the pandemic or whatever, so.
Good.
They see a lot of local businesses in
Right,
the paper.
sure. Well, and also they see us as a community paper, so, you know, I know during the pandemic, you know, we would always try to make sure we went out to dinner when we could at local restaurants to just help, you know, and I think they look at us that same way as opposed to some, you know, maybe if in the past they would have used another source of advertising.
Community connector.
Yeah.
So we talked just before, when we were talking about weaknesses, we brought up digital. That's also an opportunity. It's something you need to look at.
Our audit results aren't well known or understood. That's an opportunity to get that information out.
Like educating.
Educating. And that goes along with a couple of things that I put on there. SBCs and small business startups. I'm going to talk about more of that later in the program.
What did I also hear?
SBCs,
Is
small
this a,
business.
fine to say that?
Oh.
Digital.
John, what was the?
Pardon me? Audit.
Education.
Education.
Education of the audit.
Educating prospects on our audit positives.
Real opportunity in our market is declining paid daily circulation.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, I'm running out of paper.
Those big footprints are not staying so big anymore in a lot of places.
And the fractured multimedia digital.
Yeah.
Hang on,
This is a way
hold
to
those
focus.
thoughts. What was that one?
Focused rather than fractured multimedia.
Multimedia, need to over there.
The declining
Put
page,
SBDC down next so that it's a reminder for me.
and the declining page.
Oh, yes.
That's a pretty good list. So what do you see are threats
Did I
to your
forget,
industry?
did I forget something where?
Oh, yeah, an O on the top corner.
Oh.
Oh. Let's talk about threats for just a few minutes.
Social media.
Price of paper and postage.
Oh, no, wait.
Okay, everybody
Line page.
hold it.
Oh.
Oh,
I'll take this.
Okay, this is, threats. T. Cost of paper.
Increasing costs of
Inflation.
paper,
Inflation.
postage,
Unemployment.
printing.
Unemployment compensation.
How long do you want this list? I just put inflation.
I think loss of employees too is another,
Yes.
or another threat.
Yeah, I mean, I just got done saying that, but when you see billboards advertising $23 an hour to go to the warehouse store,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah, but they don't tell you.
they don't see the fine print underneath that, but they see $23 an hour, and that becomes the new expectation,
Yeah,
right?
but they don't tell you only work for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
they're also not the road those I like what John said about social media, but it's the perception of social media,
As
not
news.
social media itself.
Right, it's seen as news, a news source.
Yes, it's how our customers see social media rather than how.
yeah, they think it's a
Really
bigger,
is.
way bigger deal.
Well, I
Well, and
think,
we talked
I
about that
think the
yesterday
I think the
in our
green,
program. businesses that are using it usually aren't using it well.
Right.
So honestly,
And they
that's an
think it's
opportunity for you because you know how to figure out how to use any kind of medium
we're
to
converted,
advertise.
they're not converted.
Yeah, and so if you think about it, even though that's a threat, that can also be an opportunity for you, and it draws on your strengths. So you see how this starts to work when you really analyze this. You start to see, yeah, you know, I really hate that. I'm a print newspaper person. I don't ever want to see anything different. But everything is shifting underneath you. It is changing. You can't deny that. So what do you have that you can use? And you see as we're going through this, that you have tremendous strength that can work right into those things if you can package it together with other things that you're doing and work with customers to actually earn money doing it for them. Because what we talked about yesterday, most of them can't do it well. They spend too much time on it, they waste money, and it becomes useless to them, and they abandon it. What if they had an amazing company that could just pull this all together and make it work for them? In addition to providing a presence in a community newspaper with advertising and participation in the local community, the possibilities are there. And when you talk about the younger spectrum of your demographics, that's the kind of stuff that resonates with them. It really does. So,
I think we've said this too before, but we didn't put it up there, the misconception of print effectiveness. You know, right. This is the misconception of print effectiveness. It is effective, but there's misconceptions that there's.
Which is an opportunity for testimonials and media,
I think one of the,
education.
I think one of the biggest threats to us is a shortening attention span on the part of the general public and lower literacy standards. I think that's a real threat.
Too much information.
Too
Yeah,
much
people are
information and
amazing.
not enough attention.
but you know what I love to do? I love to sit at my kitchen table and have coffee in the morning and read my local community paper.
Yeah, you
I
love
just
to.
love to sit there and read it because it's people that I know, the writers are local people. I look at the ads from the advertisers. I may not be buying anything from any of them at the moment, but it reminds me that those people are there. It just makes me feel good about my community. So, you know, there is a tremendous advantage to the community newspaper.
I think, I mean, Amazon is a huge threat. I mean, more and more people buying from convenience standpoint and cheaper cost, and I think that's a huge threat.
Absolutely.
And big box stores.
Right.
All
Like,
the Amazon,
convenience and.
Walmart.
Yeah, except that it's always not that convenient when you get down to it. I will go to my local hardware store and pay more money for something because I can walk in and get it. Then go online and buy it from Amazon and sit there and wait. They promise it in 2 days, and 4 days later it finally shows up, and then I open the box and it's not what I wanted. I don't have time for that in my life.
For me, I order a lot. I mean, that sounds terrible, but like, there are a lot of things that it's just more convenient from Amazon. And during the pandemic, it just made it so much easier.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that was like huge for Bezos.
There are a lot of younger people that will not.
Right, I know, but I think it is legit.
So we've really kind of exhausted what we can from this. I know there are a lot of ideas, and I hope that I've fired your imagination to take that form back home. We have lots of them here. Take some with you. And as I recommend in my seminars for business owners or managers or salespeople, you need to lock yourself away on a regular basis, away from phone calls, away from emails, computers, text messages, everything. Lock yourself in a room, even if it's only for 30 minutes, and ponder some of this stuff. And plot or chart your future, chart what your plans are. Now, we have only a few minutes in the rest of this session, and I've got about another hour to go.
You have to
And then I have another hour after that. No. I want you to think about all of this. And this, you know, you took pictures of it, or we'll take pictures of it. And you'll be able to see this again and remind you about this session. But this should fire your imagination. But what I want you to do as you look at this is realize how these things cross-pollinate one another. You've got strengths, and then you look at weaknesses and threats, and you say, well, wait a minute. I can overcome those things because I have this, this, and that will overcome it. You have opportunities that you're not tapping into. I have strengths that cover those. Yes, there are threats as a result of some of those things, but if I know about them ahead of time, I'll know how to navigate my way to prevent unwanted competition, to prevent a loss of market share, and actually, in some cases, wouldn't it be great to be the first person in your market to actually do something that nobody else is doing, to be the innovator? Because that's what you can do. And as we said about being small, it can be a detriment, but it also is a huge advantage because you can move faster than a lot of these other businesses. So, I handed out a second sheet, and I was going to have you do a SWOT analysis of yourself. I would wear out my welcome if I made you sit here for another hour. And I have a lot of good information to share with you, so I don't want to do that, but you got the concept, and I hope I fired you up enough to take this home with you and sit down this week and do it for yourself. Analyze yourself. And if you are a business owner and you have a spouse, share the information with them. Get their input on it. If you are a manager, share it with your business owners. Sit down and have a meeting about what you've come up with, what you see. Get their input on it. If you're a salesperson, this is a good opportunity for you to really analyze how you're going about what you're doing and what you can do to capitalize on your strengths and fix your weaknesses and look for new opportunities. And those are good things to discuss with your business owner or manager as well. So you take that away as your homework assignment. I also handed out another sheet. Where are they? This. Personal business plan. You know, in my business consulting and also in seminars when I do them, I actually do a 2-session seminar on just writing a business plan. It's very tedious, but it gets the job done. Most business owners will not sit down and write a business plan. They will not do it. It is the absolute last thing they want to do. The Small Business Administration says that 50% of all businesses operate without a business plan. I don't believe it. In my experience doing all of these seminars and actually talking to real business people, I would bet that 85% of businesses operate without a business plan. But I can tell you this, when I meet the people that actually have a business plan, you would not believe what their businesses are like. You wouldn't believe it. And you can see it when they sit in a room like this at a seminar. You can tell. These are people that are not worried about where they're headed, what they're doing, because they already know. They have it all in their plans. So business plans, marketing plans are critically important. People don't do it because it takes too much time. They just don't want to. So if you're really thinking about it, you want to write a business plan, I'd love to write a business plan. I'll come do it for you. But this is simple. This is something that you need to do. You need to list some personal goals and make those your personal business plan and set a deadline to accomplish them. And let's base it on what you develop out of your own personal SWOT analysis. And there's no right or wrong answers on this. It's your personal business plan, but you have to come up with a plan of action. When we have absolutely no planning, when we have no direction, things fail. They just do. no matter how good your intentions are, no matter how smart you are, if you don't have something written down as a plan that you are going to refer to and follow, you're going to fail. So, you skip these because we did it. We're not going to talk about you because we already talked about you. I won't ask you to share some thoughts because you haven't come up with your own personal SWOT analysis yet. We're going to have a moment of truth here, but we won't do that unless anybody wants to talk about it. Anybody want to talk about their own personal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities? I won't force it out of you. Maybe it's something that you can all share with each other. Talked about the personal business plan. So, when we come back after this commercial break, opportunities in the down economy and slow sales periods, the concept of nothing to lose. Forget about being a salesperson, be a trusted advisor and consultant. Why you need to keep cold calling. I know you've heard this morning, I don't like that term. I like the term cold calling. I still use it. I like it. Why you need to keep doing it. Common problems and how to overcome them. Network and hand out business cards to everyone. And the final part will be your boss, manager, or other employees may actually know something. We'll talk about that too. Take a 20-minute break and come back and teach.
If all of you are okay, to get you home a little bit earlier, then, yeah, 10. We only need 10 because we're going to announce who won the silent auctions, and then get back to it.
My dogs will appreciate going home early.
Just, yeah, going around like that sort of monster, like open up the alley. Winner for what?
I mean, is she going to hand them out or are we going over grabbing? For the library.
I have a copy of November when we were here.
Oh, yes, please.
The one you were talking about yesterday.
Were you talking to me? I was thinking over here.